Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member. Thank you, Madam Ambassador. We do have 3 hearings going on at the same time on 3 different committees on which I serve, so I apologize for being out of breath. I literally ran upstairs from an appropriations hearing where we are marking up and advancing, I think, an important bipartisan amendment now. So, my apologies. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on your nomination and for the work you've done representing us in Ottawa. We had the opportunity to talk about some of the concerns other senators have raised today. Our role in the United Nations, both in its founding, in leading it, and in giving it a direction as it is a multilateral entity that helps the world come together to confront the most pressing global challenges, is of significant interest and concern to me. The Trump administration has demonstrated repeatedly across a number of lines of engagement a strong preference for unilateral actions and bilateral relationships over multilateralism. If confirmed, you would be stepping into the most visible and most important role I think our government has in a multilateral institution literally designed, built, and largely funded by the United States. And at a time when China is asserting its role in multilateral institutions, at least in what they say and to a larger extent in what they do. As we discussed, the first time I've ever met a Chinese flag rank officer was in a UN peacekeeping mission in South Sudan. So given that China is seeking to fill the vacancy that I would argue our withdrawal from a number of institutions and organizations are creating, in your view, do decreases in U.S. contributions to the UN and our withdrawal from UN bodies, such as Senator Cardin just asked you about, weaken our ability to push back against China's expanding influence, and in particular to effectively question and challenge China's human rights violations?
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for the opportunity for us to talk about our daughters and the importance of doing the best you can, no matter what internship you may happen to take on. You know, I understand the critics when they say that we've kind of lost the way as why the values that the UN was founded upon. I think it's very important to talk about the fact that we were founded with equality, peace and security, making certain that we take care of social, economic, all issues on the globe, and human rights. And where that's an issue where we need to be very careful in shining a light on China, the way they treat the Uyghurs, just because they have become the second largest donor, which obviously is a reflection of their economy at the UN. We need to be even more cautious and more diligent in the relationship that, if confirmed, that I will build with other member states, and making certain that they understand that, yes, China is participating in sharing in this burden, as we will always be the leader in contributing to the UN, and will always take the leadership role. However, with China, as you well know, they have a motive, and that is better leverage and taking advantage of some of these underdeveloped countries through the UN system.
My hope, Madam Ambassador, is that your voice will be loud and clear and consistent in contributing to the UN, not just our financial contributions, but our voice in advocating for human rights. On a bipartisan basis across a number of administrations, the UN has been a place where we have pushed back against criticisms and questioning and challenges of actions of key allies, and pushed forward on concerns that aren't raised anywhere else and aren't addressed anywhere else, and it's important to strike the right balance. I am particularly concerned about what seems to be a withdrawal from a long-standing bipartisan commitment to a two-state solution. Can you tell me about your view of a two-state solution and the central role that the UN can and should continue to play in advocating for that as a path forward in the Middle East?
Senator, I am going to be, if confirmed, I will support the President's vision for peace and security in the region. And this is why it's so important every time any member state, or anyone for that matter, shows any anti-Israel bias or anti-Semitism, that not only do we call them out, but do we have to explain that this is slowing the process for peace and security in the region. I'm going to interrupt because of my
short time. Do you know whether the President's vision for peace and security in the Middle East includes supporting a two-state solution? I don't.
Senator, I have not been part of the Middle East peace process. But if confirmed, I will tell you there will be no stronger friend than Kelly Craft and the United States for Israel, and no stronger person to promote Israel in normalizing themselves in the system.
I have two more questions I'll ask briefly. You may want to respond in writing afterwards or in some other way. I want to respect the time concerns we have here. First, being an ambassador is a full-time, hands-on job, as I'm sure has been discussed while I've been at the other hearing. Your representation that a lot of your travel out of Ottawa has been to advance the USMCA. If adequately documented and supported, I'm willing to take at face value, but I am concerned about issues that have been raised about your engagement and attendance in Ottawa. New York is even harder. There's even more nations, there's even more work, there's even more direct, and I would hope that you could persuade me that you will be fully and directly engaged and provide the background that would support that. Last, Ebola has broken out now in Uganda. I am concerned that while there's many other pressing issues, and I know I'm detaining some of my colleagues and their chance to question, I would welcome hearing from you how you view this is another opportunity for the administration to lead in a multilateral response, in a global response rather than a unilateral response. Peace in the Middle East, Ebola, human rights, and our role overall in the UN. I need to hear from you that you're committed to and understand the value of how we built and how we will sustain this institution. Thank you, Madam Ambassador. I am well out of time, but I appreciate the chance to continue this discussion.
Did you want those for the record, Senator Coons?
Yes,
Is
Mr.
that all right with you,
Yes.
Ambassador? Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you, Senator Coons.
Thank you so much.